This self-proclaimed TikTok alpha male influencer just got a reality check from the judge because Wes Watson was already out on bond, but he was just arrested again on multiple felony charges tied to a domestic violence case. And after that, he ignored a direct warning from the court. And I guess a judge has now revoked his bond entirely, meaning he's not getting out anytime soon. The dude is locked up. Yet again.
A well-known fitness influencer was caught by cops.
He was arrested for allegedly beating up his girlfriend and was so vicious, say police, she had bruises all over her body.
I mean, his whole brand is essentially being the guy who used to be locked up, but he got his life together with pure discipline. But now, I don't know, I guess that discipline's just missing because now he's locked up again. So here we are talking about Wes Watson yet again. So where are things standing right now? Well, Wes Watson is not getting out. And after his latest arrest in Broward County, he went into court thinking that he would be able to post bond and walk free like before. But there was just one massive problem for him. The judge had already warned him. If you get arrested again while you're out on bond, that bond is gone. And of course, that's exactly what happened because a Miami-Dade County judge officially revoked his bond after the new arrest, which means he's now sitting in jail awaiting trial with no release date in sight, and his attorney can now file motions, and I guess they can try to fight it, but as of right now, he's staying locked up. So obviously, you have that whole other incident with the $115,000 bond from the case that we've also covered here on this channel, revolving the whole alleged gym assault incident. You see, that alleged incident is still active, and I guess when this new situation happened, it wasn't just another arrest, it was a violation of the conditions that he was already under. So that's the kind of thing that judges don't play around with. So there's now newly released footage of police showing up and taking him right into custody and serving him with a domestic violence restraining order right there on the spot.
Two things. One is we need to serve a restraining order on you.
What's restraining order?
Domestic violence restraining order.
He's trying to get money from me, guys.
Okay.
I have the screenshots. I have screenshots. Hey, call my lawyer.
Where did you reach?
So now you have two active cases, multiple felony charges, and a judge who's already made it very clear that he's just done giving chances. And as a reminder of what his latest arrest is about, his victim had gone to the Miami Heat game with a friend. And at some point, a video or photo from the game made its way back to Wes. So police say that he got angry over what she was wearing and accused her of being disrespectful and I guess cheating on him. And this is where things escalate dramatically. So when she returned to his residence, he confronted her and it turned very violent. Police say that he physically restrained her, shook her, and then applied pressure to her neck. And they also allege that he threw her to the ground, dragged her by her hair, and struck her multiple times. We've known for a while this guy's been a scumbag, but if any of this is true, he's a monster. Because at one point, investigators say that he forcibly slammed her head into a table. And of course, it doesn't even stop there. So what did he do next? Well, he apparently did not allow her to leave the residence. So her movement was then restricted, and she was being threatened throughout the entire experience. And that's where the false imprisonment charge comes into play, because this wasn't described as a quick argument that got out of hand. It left her with visible injuries, including bruising and cuts. And this all happened while he was already out on bond for another violent case. So from a legal standpoint, this isn't just about like what happened inside that house. Apparently it's a pattern. Obviously, this is if all this is true, but that's most likely how all of this is going to be framed moving forward, because both of these cases involve violence. Both are still active and now completely stacked on top of each other. So the first case I'm talking about is the arrest over the fight that happened in the Miami gym, Elevation Fitness. In this situation, Wes is claiming self-defense for the whole fight, which you know is insane considering, you know, him and his friends are on video kicking the guy and using gym equipment on him while he was already on the ground. So I don't know what all that is about, but I digress. I'm just saying this looks awful for him. Them claiming self-defense, trying to show that he's not controlled by his anger, and then he gets arrested for a horrific case of domestic violence. This is just the pinnacle of stupidity. Remember, why did Wes think this guy came to the gym to fight him?
I'm famous. I get 90 million messages a day.
Okay, I mean, this guy is just so unbelievably obnoxious. Granted, though, it's not like he was doing well at convincing the court that he didn't have any anger problems even before he was arrested yet again. Because right before he held his girlfriend captive and hurt her, his disposition involved him making fun of the lawyer and just throwing an absolute toddler fit. I am not exaggerating. He said things to the lawyer like, your shit's busted. Like, you're talking about stupid shit. Why does he get to cut me off? Your questions are like belonging in a circus. You're like an old dude from Florida or something. Like, dude, why are you saying all this in court? Shut up. Let your lawyer do the talking unless you are specifically asked a question to answer. Honestly, he is pretty much at the top of crash outs. So when Wes got arrested again in Broward County, it wasn't just like some new charges. It was a violation tied directly to that original case. And that's why the judge didn't hesitate at all when it came to revoking his bond, because from the court's perspective, this is clearly a pattern. So you've got one alleged violent incident still unresolved, then another one happens just while you're out on bond for the first one. And that's exactly the kind of situation where judges stop giving the benefit of the doubt. Apparently, there were also others in the house while all this was happening, and they didn't step in. In fact, investigators say that one of them was actively told to make sure the victim didn't leave. And at one point, he was allegedly positioned by the door while everything was going on, basically acting like a barrier.
He had his own personal employees threaten her. He had his own personal employees oversee her to see what she was doing on the phone, Your Honor. I think there's even made reference to the victim that she effectively felt that she was being held hostage.
So naturally, the next big question is, why are these people not being charged? Well, now we have an answer. So one of them, Jose, has now been arrested, and the charges against him are serious because he's facing felony false imprisonment, just like Wes, along with witness tampering, which, you know, in simple terms means authorities believe there was some kind of attempt of influence or to interfere with the victim, whether that's pressure, threats, or trying to control what's being said. But what makes this even more interesting is not everyone present has been charged. So at least one other person who was there hasn't been arrested. And I guess when you see that, when one person gets hit with multiple felonies and another person walks free, it raises some pretty obvious questions. Did someone talk? Because in situations like this, wouldn't that be how it goes? I don't know. I'm just a villager idiot. We're just covering the situation with the available information to us right now. Now, I mean, nothing's been officially confirmed on that front, but by the way this is playing out, it definitely feels like something else is going on behind the scenes. And I mean, if that's true, this could become a huge factor in what happens next in court. So since he's been taken into custody, Wes hasn't exactly been walking around like, you know, the guy that you see online anymore. So according to John Bravo, who talked to Wes's old employees and people who've been inside the jail, the moment he came in, most of the inmates already knew who he was, and they weren't buying the whole alpha persona.
Because I ended up talking to two employees, former employees who worked for Wes, right? And they stayed in the house with him. He said, one day, John, he goes, I woke up and I saw Peggy sitting on the kitchen table with the mountain of that creatine and his face stuck in it like Al Pacino from Scarface. I've never seen a white man do that and not drop dead. So this was taking a lot. I wanted to find out how this was doing with all that withdrawals in the jail, right? I ended up speaking to two people who are in the jail who could tell me the story of what's going on with him. And they told me, they go, John, listen, when he got here, all those inmates, most of them knew who he was and they weren't having any of his.
So instead of being loud and in control like he is on camera, he's reportedly been keeping to himself. And a big reason for that might be what he's dealing with physically right now, because based on reports from people familiar with his lifestyle, he was using a mixture of substances. Everything from, I don't know how much I can even say on this channel. A whole bunch of gym bro stuff. When you suddenly get locked up, that stops immediately, and that's where things get rough. So there are claims that his withdrawals are really bad, and he's actually had to be moved to a separate unit in the jail, specifically for inmates going through detox. So now, instead of the guy online preaching discipline, control, and mental toughness, you have someone sitting in a jail unit dealing with the reality of coming off everything at once, and I guess the reality of his own actions. And the reason this is being mentioned and why it's so ironic is because if you go back and listen to his content, he talks consistently about having control of your impulses, mastering your habits, being unshakable no matter what. But now all of that is being tested in the one place where I guess you can't fake it. So he's now facing multiple felony charges across two separate cases, and there are going to be hearings, motions, and eventually a trial, unless something gets resolved before that. But honestly, with everything stacked on top of each other like this, it's going to be serious. And we're talking about charges that can carry real prison time if he's convicted. And on top of that, you've got this added layer of violating bond conditions, which judges tend to take very seriously when it comes to sentencing and decisions moving forward. So now, Instead of being online telling people how to live their lives, he's sitting in a cell, waiting to find out what happens to his own. And I guess at this point, the only thing left to see is how all this plays out in court. And I'll keep you guys updated. So hey, if you're new here, my name is Arling, or A to Z, or Atozy on the internet. And we talk about the laughably stupid stuff that unfolds on the internet, and or shocking stuff. So feel free to subscribe, drop a like if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Peace.